Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the RAW Barbell Club podcast. This is our first episode for the new year. This is the first one that I've recorded this year, so I'm pretty excited. Happy New Year, Merry Christmas to everyone that's listening or watching, if you're watching on YouTube. Guys, if you don't know already that these episodes go up on YouTube, they do. It's a really cool way to see people talk. We have a lot of cool content that goes on YouTube as well, like training vlogs of our guys hitting monster weights. You can see the stories of their growth. You can see funny things that happen in the gym, and they're really cool videos. So I do recommend that you guys go on, subscribe to our YouTube channel, click that notification bell so you can see when the next thing is up. And that, I do really recommend that. On today's episode, we have Scott Wilson on. Scott Wilson is a Commonwealth Games weightlifter. He's been on the podcast previously where we talked about his journey to get to the Commonwealth Games, his opening of his own facility, SAW Athletic, and even some more sad topics like him and his partner having a miscarriage and how that affected him. So that was a really cool episode, and I definitely recommend that you guys go check that out. Today's episode is a little bit different because obviously we talk about what's happened after that period of time. So we've talked about his growth, we've talked about changes in his life. On a happy note, he's actually expecting a child in 3 weeks or so. So that's very, very exciting for him and his partner Christine. So congratulations guys on your little boy Andy. And we also talk about some sad things. So he's recently closed his strength and conditioning facility, SAW Athletic. We talk about the emotions behind that, some of the motivations, some of the things that went on, and it's a really cool look into the background of owning a gym. You know, you often see what's posted on Instagram, what's posted on YouTube, what's posted on Facebook, but very rarely do you see what goes on behind the scenes. And this is a good first step in seeing that. Like, I've always tried to be quite open with what's going on in my life to you guys, to my friends, to everyone, and it's just cool to see. Like, I just keep getting to have these conversations where people open up in a public forum, and yeah, it's awesome. Scott's an amazing talker. I love having chats with him. So I think you guys will really enjoy that. And guys, if you like this episode, please share it. If, that's the way this podcast grows, by people sharing it around. And the more people's ears that this gets into, the more we grow, the more people we can reach, and the more guests we can get on. So please share it. That's how that helps our growth. And if you really, really want to help us out, you now can. Making this podcast is really an amazing experience. One, I get to have amazing, heartfelt, deep, and meaningful conversations with friends and people from all walks of life. I get to teach you guys while I'm learning, and I get to learn from you guys while I'm teaching. But it does cost us a lot of money, from hosting fees to travel costs to bandwidth to all of the things in between. If we could make this podcast support itself, then I can do it more. I can actually do things like travel to Adelaide to record episodes with Jordan Biggie and make some cool videos around his training for the Fringe Festival or at the Fringe Festival, which is something that I still would like to do, but it all depends on the financial side of that, as well as my time too. But you guys can help. So all we're asking for is the price of a coffee. If every single person that listened to this episode donated a coffee, not only would we have enough money for this podcast to keep going for a few months, but we'd actually have enough money to do all those cool things that we want to do but can't do because we're financially restricted by the limitations of the podcast. So thank you so much to every single person that has donated. Thank you to Sarah, who recently donated. That was very generous, and I greatly appreciate every single person that has put their hand up to support something that they can get for free. It's really amazing that you guys believe in what we're doing so much that you do that. And I am so thankful to every single person that has donated. You guys are the best, and you're the reason that I keep doing this. And you're also the reason that the sport of weightlifting, the sport of strongman, the sport of powerlifting, like CrossFit, like all of these strength sports are growing because you guys are the backbone of it. You guys are the ones that are supporting it. You guys are supporting the media. You're supporting me, who's trying to get more information out. I just lost this. Thank you so much. And yeah, without further ado, guys, this is Scott Wilson, and you're listening to the RAW Barbell Club podcast. Let's go. Yeah, no, I've been good. I've actually been really good. Just been training for the Arnold.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's exciting. New sport. It's just like you know, like you did weightlifting for so long, and now you're doing some other cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's a different journey.
Yeah. And why did you go with strongman? What interested you about strongman?
I've always loved strongman.
Yeah.
But it's very difficult. It's like CrossFit on steroids.
Yeah.
With steroids.
With steroids, good. But CrossFit don't want to accept that they've got steroids in it.
Yeah. It's like CrossFit with open steroids.
Open steroids.
But yeah, no, it's just it's exciting. It's exciting to prioritize getting like crazy strong.
Yeah.
And you're allowed to use like a lot of kit. So, you know, like double belts, massive wraps, sleeves, everything. So
everything goes.
It's like free reign.
Yeah.
And I really like that. Something different. Coming from a sport which is like finesse.
Yeah.
Like weightlifting's all about, you know, the fine details.
Yeah.
This is just opposite.
Brute.
Yeah, brute strength.
Yeah.
That's what I like.
Fair enough. I was going to give strongman a go in terms of going to a competition, like I think PTC MacArthur, is it MacArthur?
Yeah.
They
The
seem to
Campbelltown
run,
one.
yeah, the Campbelltown ones. They seem to run a fair few competitions and stuff, but just never really got round to it. Jiu-jitsu became more important to me for a while, so maybe 2020. Who knows?
How is your jits going?
Jits is good. I've taken a little bit of time off, which I'm sure we'll discuss a little bit reason why soon. But yeah, I've taken a month off. At the present moment, do I feel like I'm missing it? No. But I do really enjoy it. I've got a really good coach, Professor David Willis, his name is. He's a black belt through the GB guys, competitor, competed at Worlds and stuff like that.
So he started off in Blacktown
Yeah, he
as well,
started
right?
off in Blacktown.
So like all of the...
Yeah, it's all the Western Sydney boys, like they all started at Blacktown, and then those guys...
At Alpha.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a funny story about my first competition against those guys. But yeah, so they all started there, and then when Gracie Barra Blacktown wanted to rebrand and it went down this alpha path, those guys left, and good on the guy if he wants to like de-affiliate from the status quo, the big brand, and want to go on his own. Like good for him. I don't discredit him for that, but I just didn't really like the attitude that their athletes had at the first jiu-jitsu competition that I went to. So yeah, I'm not shitting on Alpha for Alpha, I'm just shitting on the guy who was his coach and that guy who I competed against. So yeah, jiu-jitsu is really good. I like when I approach sports, I approach it in a very methodical way. In the past I didn't. But I realized that, especially when I was going to Commonwealth Games, I came up with like my grease the groove system, and I'd been coming up with this for a little while when I was at like RAW Barbell Club and stuff. I basically went to Japan in early 2017 and was like, right, okay, I need to create because I'm opening up SOAR, I need to create a methodical way for me to warm up, improve my technique, and kind of like kill 5 birds with one stone. And I created like this. Everyone does it, some form of it, but I really like cemented and really doubled down on my grease the groove system, which was where my first grease the groove would be positions 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, the pen lay positions, muscle snatch, focusing on staying up on the toes, really focus on that knee and ankle extension, press into squat. So almost like a behind the neck snatch, press into your squat position, and then press in the squat, and I would do 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. I'd do that on an empty barbell. And then I would go to 30 kilos, 5 kilo plates on, and I would do 3 power snatches, 3 overhead squats, 3 press in the squat. And then I would do 3 full snatches, 3 snatch balance or like drop snatches, and then 3 press in the squat. And I did that single warm up every day for like from March of 2017 when I opened up SOAR and started training for the Commonwealth Games till literally Commonwealth Games Day. So my warm up, whenever I snatched or clean jerk, never changed for over 14 months or something like that. I got something in my eye, I don't know what's happening.
It's probably dust.
Yeah,
There's a lot of dust up here.
I don't, it's hurting. All good. I'm good. I think I got it then. That was a good scrape I just did then. So yeah, literally did the same warm up for 14 months. And some people like, I did that with my members at SOAR most of the time when we snatch and clean jerk. Some people get bored of that and they go, oh fuck, I want something new. But weightlifting's a very fucking boring sport. It's repetitive. You have to get really good at those small, finer details. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was like, right, I'm a big, strong guy. I can go into this sport right now and just demolish people with my strength. Yeah. But that's not going to serve me well. So the way in which I approached jiu-jitsu was like, right, what's my most uncomfortable position? Being a pretty dominant guy, I don't really like being on my back, and I don't really like when people are in side control, which is when I'm on my back and someone's lying like 90 degrees to me and on top of my like chest almost. So what did I do? I spent August 2018 when I started doing jiu-jitsu, I just spent all the way up until the end of that year on my back. I always gave position. I always let the opposition, the other person I was rolling with, get position, being in my least comfortable positions, and then, right, I'm here. How do I escape this position? How do I work from here to get to a position of advantage and eventually attack and then defeat my opponent? And I did that from August till December. So how many months is that? I'm terrible with math. 4 months. Yeah, 4 months. So for 4 months, all I did was that. And during that time, obviously, I learned other things, and I learned like a series of attacks. And kind of towards the end of that year, I really like cemented, right, I'm on my back, I'm gonna sweep, I'm gonna like sweep or do something or get full guard. Once I get full guard, then I would go for a armbar, can't get an armbar, go to triangle, can't get a triangle, go to an omoplata. And that's just like a sequence of movements that link up pretty smoothly. And that was like my go-to attack system. So come 2019, that's all I did was let them pull guard, so end up on my back because my stand-up game's not very good because we don't really practice that in jiu-jitsu so much.
Mainly for safety.
Yeah, mainly and throws and stuff in jiu-jitsu. Like if you're in a jiu-jitsu gym and the floor's like, it's soft, but it's not like super soft. Yeah. And you haven't been taught how to roll out of those throws. Like I'm a big guy, I don't really want to be thrown around too much because even though I like that stuff, you get pretty banged up from it. So I would not shy away, but I wouldn't really go full tilt on the throw stuff, especially if I'm partnered up with another guy who's 80 kilos. His strength, he can probably throw me like kinda-ish, but with my strength, I'm snatching 140 kilos, clean jerk, and 170. Like, can't really lift those weights exactly right now, but potentially could lift those weights. I can literally throw that guy across the room.
Probably do a suplex.
Yeah, like I've accidentally done it by accident. Like what a guy like was being a bit of a dick, and I just got a little bit extra on him and just like literally threw him, and he was like, whoa. He was like, I've never been thrown that. I was like, oh sorry, I didn't mean to use that on you. I don't like using my strength. So yeah, basically my methodical way of training was back for 4 months, attack the same attacks from that same position for 3 months. Once I felt like I had that secured and that was like not going to go away, it's like riding a bike, I can always go back to it. Then I started focusing on other things. So then I started working on back takes and like rear naked chokes and stuff like that. And now I'm really working on more of my strength game where I'm doing like omoplatas, kimuras and stuff like that, which is a lot of arm attacks, which require a little bit more strength, a little more bruteness essentially. So what I find with most people that I've done jiu-jitsu with is they come and they're like, wow, all these attacks, and they're doing all this shit and they're doing that and they're working all these different weird, amazing attacks, but they've neglected the fundamentals. And really my big thing is like, if you can just nail down those fundamentals and then work on the key things that you're good at and really cement those in, you're going to be a decent jiu-jitsu player, or you're going to be a decent weightlifter. And what's going to separate you from the person who just qualifies for nationals or potentially medals or something like that is by going in and doing those like small, minute details and doing them over and over and over again and making them excellent. And that's basically what I've done with jiu-jitsu.
And what would you say the fundamentals are for jiu-jitsu?
Well, for me, it was getting comfortable
in those uncomfortable
yeah, getting comfortable in the uncomfortable positions. Because when I'm on top, like it's great. I've got a good base. I'm a pretty athletic guy. I've got good awareness. So if I get on top on most people, they're not really going to get me off. They can like roll me, but I'll roll them straight away because I've got that sort of flow.
And you got those weightlifting hips.
Yeah, that's it. And I've got strong, powerful hips. If I really want to put pressure on someone, like I will make it very uncomfortable for them. And that would be another thing, is learning how to use your weight effectively. I roll with some kids some guys, I shouldn't call them kids, they're younger than I am.
Yeah.
I'm 27, I'm not that old. But they're like early 20s, 21, 22, sort of stuff. And they're bigger boys. There's a guy called Jamin, he's like 100 odd kilos, but he doesn't know how to use his weight. But when I roll with another guy called Smoking Joe McHale, and you can check him out, he's a very interesting character. He is 65 kilos. He's as tall as I am, but he's very, very, very thin. He's about as thin as these poles that we're looking at here, literally. But he can use his weight magically. Like he can put some really, really uncomfortable top pressure on you. So they would be the basics for me. Is find a position that you're uncomfortable in it, get comfortable in it. Find a sequence of attacks that you can link up effectively, and then just practice those until they are second nature. And then you can go and start fucking doing penna chokes and loop chokes and all this other ankle locks and all this sort of stuff. But when I roll with guys at jiu-jitsu, they have it's the dichotomy of choice. There's so many options in front of them, they don't know what path to go down.
Yeah.
And I've had that problem in the past. So nowadays, I just try to really knuckle down on simplicity. How can I reduce the amount of choices to make it absolutely clear what the path is to take?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
if we were to take it back to weightlifting, being comfortable and uncomfortable is, your grease the groove is basically, being comfortable in an overhead squat.
Yeah.
Which is why you're practicing those snatch, like pseudo snatch balances, and then practicing, position 2, position 1, position 3, to make sure that we're hitting them through your pulls.
Yeah, definitely. So like you see people when they practice the skill of weightlifting, they don't actually carry that over into what they do
when they actually
weightlift.
Yeah.
And that was a problem for me, like back in 2015 when I won nationals. Mitchell from Odd Socks, I'm blanking on his second name. Do you remember Big
Man?
Mitch? Mitchell Man, yeah. Mitchell Man. He was like, oh yeah, your pull's really good. Didn't mean to spit on you then.
It's okay.
Your pull is really good, but when you snatch, it looks nothing like that. And I'd get a little bit salty and be like, fuck you, Mitch. But he was absolutely right. My pull looked completely different to the way that I snatched. And it wasn't until I really, focused on making sure that the movements that I was doing in training and outside of the sport of weightlifting carried over into the actual sport of weightlifting. And then for me, I never had a problem being comfortable in competition. Like I've always thrived in competition.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just like really, I hate training. Like in my right mind, like why would I want to dedicate time to just training? I was always like doer in terms of like compete in weightlifting compete in soccer or compete in rugby. Actually, the actual process of training wasn't very enjoyable to me until I learned to really become methodical about what is the purpose of training.
Yeah.
Before, I just used to see it as I have to train because otherwise if I don't train I can't play, or I saw it as like a means to an end. But now I'm like, no, actually the process of training is what's going to enable you to be successful later on. And yeah, that really didn't click to me till I was a little bit older, so last few years. And my next path that I'm potentially going to do tonight at 6:30 at USC Weatherall Park is wrestling. So,
ooh.
Yeah.
Amateur wrestling.
Amateur wrestling. So my sights are already set on the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
I have zero experience of wrestling. I've done jiu-jitsu, which is a grappling sport, and it has some stand-up stuff, but it really isn't wrestling. It's completely different.
And if you do Gracie Barra, you're not learning throws.
No, you're not learning throws and stuff like that. So
and you can't ground fight in wrestling. It's pins.
Exactly. So I have no prior knowledge of wrestling. I literally don't even know how the sport functions.
Have you ever done judo or anything?
Nope, nothing.
Oh,
So I'm like seeing it as a challenge for myself. I'm like, right, okay, done weightlifting, done jiu-jitsu. Like jiu-jitsu is going to be a sport that's going to be really hard to become amazing at because it's so advanced now. And
popular.
And popular, yeah. Like the pool of athletes in jiu-jitsu is so high. Whereas wrestling, I've got a friend who I played rugby with in Scotland. We both played for Scotland A or Scotland Amateurs when this was like back in 2010.
And you're still a Scottish citizen,
and I'm still a
right?
Scottish citizen, yeah. He tried to go to the 2014 Commonwealth Games for wrestling, and he started his journey about 3 and a bit years before the games. So it's 2020 now, January, and the games is in, I think it's in June of 2022.
Yeah.
So I've got like, what's that, 24, 30 months basically to learn the sport, compete at a high enough level that Scotland consider me for, or potentially Australia, if I get my citizenship soon, consider me as a potential person to go to the Commonwealth Games.
That's cool, man.
So it's like
Mr. Dual Sport athlete.
yeah, that would be fun. I was like, and then in my head I was like, maybe I could wrestle and do weightlifting.
At the same
and I was
time.
like, nah, I'm gonna be so broken by that point. I don't think I will be. So yeah, that's my that's my next like physical path that I'm looking at, like my next big challenge as a sport and as an athlete that I'm considering taking. But again, I've not even done a wrestling session yet.
Yeah.
My first one's meant to be tonight.
You're just breaking it early.
Yeah, I'm just like, nah, like I literally, I think if you voice those sort of things, you're more likely to actually achieve them.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, oh yeah, I would like to win nationals one day. I remember back in 2014 with my wife, I literally wrote down like 2015, top 3 nationals, 2016, win nationals, 2017, I think top 5 Commonwealth Championships, and then 2018 qualified for the Commonwealth Games. And that was like my like written down list of things. I did it a little bit earlier. I won nationals in 2015, didn't compete in 2017, and qualified in 2018. Or 2017. So I think if you like set those things out and you put them out in the universe, they're not necessarily going to happen, but they're more likely to happen. So you guys got the inside scoop, the
That's
early
cool,
break.
man.
So wrestling is what I'm looking at right now. So
That's so exciting.
yeah, I think it'll be different to weightlifting. Weightlifting is obviously an individual sport. You don't really you have interactions with your competitors, but it's not really about the other competitors. It's about just what you can do on that day.
Yeah.
But that's my mindset about it. Some people might think differently. Wrestling and jiu-jitsu and stuff, it's really about like you and the opposite, man. You've got to go in and do the preparatory work, but
You got to do it with someone else.
you got to deal with someone else. So I think that's what's interesting me about sports like that. Still an individual aspect to it, but it's you're interacting with someone.
And it's probably the second. No, I think it's like the 3rd or 4th oldest Olympic sport as well.
Wow.
Because weightlifting's the second oldest.
I think it was going to be removed from the Olympic Games and Commonwealth Games and stuff like a few years back, and there was like a big hoo-ha, like, no, we've got to keep it in. It's a really like old and prodigious sport, but it's not really highly regarded in Western cultures. But you look at like the Eastern Europeans and the North Americans, like Canada and stuff like that, they really value their wrestling. You've got
it's really popular in America.
Yeah, Iran, they love wrestling. USA, Iran, all that sort of stuff's going on right now. Mongols, like they've all got their traditions in some form of wrestling. People have been asking me what type of wrestling is it, and I'm like, I don't know. I think it's freestyle. I don't know. It might be Greco-Roman.
It is Greco-Roman.
It's Greco-Roman.
Yeah.
I honestly, that's how little I know about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to meet the guy today, and I'm like, right, okay. Based off past experience, I've got pretty decent athleticism.
Yeah.
What is the path to get me from here to the Commonwealth Games in the shortest period of time, and how do you and I collaborate and work together and make that a reality? And like that's kind of like the interesting challenge for me. It's not necessarily the sport of wrestling that's interesting to me. It's I know the talent pool's low enough that I can step in with my already previous abilities and make an impact pretty early, but I'm really just interested in that learning process.
Yeah.
How can you become so efficient at that learning process that you can essentially just become an elite athlete in a very short period of time? So,
And guys, like sometimes stuff like this, when people come on and talk like this, it sounds like bullish, but it's you have to understand that Scott is a high level athlete in like 2 other sports basically. Like he was a really good CrossFitter, well, decent CrossFitter.
decent CrossFit.
Yeah,
Sounds
not
really
really,
good.
really. But like, you know, decent CrossFitter, moved into weightlifting, competed at a elite level in weightlifting.
Also professional rugby.
Also professional rugby before that.
Yeah.
So like, you know, he's got a good base.
Yeah.
And now that you've done jiu-jitsu, you're used to uncomfortable positions. You did weightlifting, so you're used to ugly suits. So like you're ready.
Yeah, that's well. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't say ready, but I'm
He's ready. Just throw him in the ring.
Well, yeah. So let's see.
You've done podcasts, used to headgear.
Yeah. So, well, I actually roll in jiu-jitsu with a headgear. Who wants cauliflower ear? Like I think I'll maybe have to make it a highlight on my Instagram. But there was a time when I got cauliflower ear and I had to remove it myself, and it was just, yeah, it's ugly. And you look at those guys; they've got pretty gnarled up ears and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I don't really want to look like that. So I'll stick to wearing a headgear. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me too much.
That's smart. I mean, I wear headgear in Strongman for the same reason.
For like when you're pressing. And
Yeah, when
you
you do
push
like
presses.
monster dumbbell and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's like sitting against your ear. Like, I don't want that.
No, it's not sexy.
No, but I don't do it in jiu-jitsu. Maybe I should wear my headgear when I do jiu-jitsu.
How's your jiu-jitsu going?
Terrible.
Terrible.
It's just like, it's hard to do that and
And
strongman and
yeah.
stuff at the same time.
Just feel a bit beat up.
Yeah, my back gets beat up from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Just all the twisting and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's been a pretty hard thing for me. Is like weightlifting creates its own list of injuries.
Yeah.
You go from a sagittally based sport where you're just straight up and down and there's very little rotation unless you've got like really bad weaknesses on one side or another, and then go into jiu-jitsu where it's all rotational. It's all, you're always bent over in the bad position and stuff. Yeah, definitely it's created its own list of injuries and list of niggles. I don't have any major injuries, but it's created its own problems to try and resolve.
And I have like, you know, the regular white belt problems of like, you know, not tapping early enough. And like before the Arnold qualifier, like I screwed up my elbow.
Someone armbar you?
Yeah, someone was armbarring me, and like I was holding my hands, and I went to tap, but like I wasn't thinking.
Yeah.
So I went tap
Instead of
just saying a verbal tap.
Yeah.
So when I took my hand off, my arm swung out.
Smashed.
And this is like a, you know, 120 kilo brown belt. He's got no mercy. He just like pulled.
Where you train? Gracie
Baja,
Hawkesbury. Hawkesbury, yeah. There's one opening up in Castle Hill, but the Hawkesbury one's good. A lot of the guys from Blacktown went there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I mentioned him earlier, Smoking Joe McHale. He's a very interesting guy. He has like he had a world record in DJing for 7 days straight.
In DJing?
Yeah, he DJ'd for 7 days straight. He's a very interesting character.
Wait, how do you get a world record in DJing for?
It's like a Guinness Book of Records sort of thing. He just didn't sleep for however many hours that is, 24 times 7. And it's been broken since. But you got to be a pretty special character to want to DJ for 7 days straight without sleeping.
Or a lot of caffeine.
I'm not sure if he had caffeine or that. He said he didn't do any narcotics. So I don't know whether caffeine was on that list, but he didn't do any recreational drugs or banned substances. Yeah, I was really fortunate. Like when I started jiu-jitsu, these guys, they took me under their wing. Joe armbarred the shit out of me my first week because I was just like straight arming everything because I was really strong.
And that's your stacked position?
But he just armbarred me from every which way. But it taught me, and I learned my lesson really early on for probably, literally the first like 6 months of jiu-jitsu, or probably from the August till the December, I had bad elbows, and I've never had elbow pain in my life. And it was really concerning when I would do dips and stuff like that. Oh my God, my elbows suck. Like they really hurt. I'm lucky I'm not weightlifting right now because I don't think I could weightlift and do jiu-jitsu at the same time just for that reason. Nowadays I reckon I could because I hardly ever get armbarred anymore. Just awareness, and I always tap early. Like people when they roll me, they think, oh, this is gonna be a really, really good roll. Like if I had to lose position, tap.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? Like you could have got out of it. I'm like, yeah, but if I wanted to risk getting out of it. There's an increased risk of injury. So
100%.
I don't even I just try not to put myself in those positions. So anyone who's out there who does jiu-jitsu, tap early and tap often. Like there's no winning. A big saying in the Gracie Barra world, there's no winning or losing in jiu-jitsu. There's just learning, and I believe that is the case. I see a lot of guys that I roll with, and I don't want to hurt people. Never want to be responsible for hurting someone. Anytime I've ever like kind of injured someone in jiu-jitsu, I always feel super bad about it. I'm always like, fuck, because I know what the ramifications of that be. They could potentially not be able to do their sport. The worst case scenario is they can't like live the life in terms of like the freedom they want to, whether they have kids or whether they go to work. So when you injure someone, you're limiting their ability to live their life. So I really don't like injuring people. So even though I probably could sometimes, and there are times when I probably should hurt the person just to teach them a lesson, I try not to. I try to go the nicer approach. Old Scott would have just fucking ripped on their arms and just like destroyed their joints, but now I'm just like, it's not worth it. If someone did that to me, I'd be really upset. So I don't want to do it to them.
That's fair.
Yeah. Maybe you need to roll me. We should roll.
Yeah. Wait, you're blue belt now?
I'm blue belt, yeah. So got promoted August of last year. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So it's like Gracie Barra is the sort of gym where they promote you not necessarily based on your skill level, because it's more time span, like sessions done. I think it's a good approach, but also I think it's a bad approach because I think some of the blue belts and purple belts and stuff get a bit of a false sense of security, thinking they're actually good when they're not. I've rolled with some other guys from other gyms, and they have their talents, but they're not necessarily what I'd call like a qualified like blue belt or a qualified purple belt. So I think they should make a distinguish, like you should have a blue belt that's like a light blue belt for people who are just like there for recreational purposes, and a dark blue belt for the guy who's a competitor. I had a few people saying like, oh, you should be promoted earlier, and I'm like, nah. I don't care about the belts. It's not what I'm interested in.
You only care about your third stripe white.
Yeah, that's it. When you get to do free rolls. Fortunate being at a younger gym, we got to free roll a little bit earlier before some of us got our white stripes. I hope I'm not putting anyone in trouble there, but yeah, because you got literally the pool of athletes or the pool of jiu-jitsu players at our gym was all white belts because it's a brand new school.
Yeah,
a few people come over, but it's. Yeah, I would have probably preferred not to roll and just done drilling because I think that was what really helped me progress.
I mean,
more.
You still do that, right?
I do, but yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been nicer if we hadn't rolled, because especially when you got two guys that are absolutely terrible and don't know what they're doing. If you have like a guided drilling session, you can actually get way more out of that. Maybe you won't see it initially, but you will get way more out of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I get so much more out of drilling than rolling.
Yeah.
And in the lead up to the Arnold, when I do go to jiu-jitsu, I just leave.
Yeah. When it comes to free rolls. Yeah.
I just don't have the time nor the energy to waste on that at the moment.
Yes.
Like I want to keep my skills fresh. I want to get my sessions in.
Yeah.
So that I'm getting closer to
the blue belt. Were you in a three stripe?
Three stripe white.
Yeah. Yeah. So how long have you been doing it now with those guys?
Probably since September last year.
Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. So
September the year before. Oh, yeah. I don't know. So
yeah,
I've been doing it for a long time.
Have you been on and off? For some schools are different. Our school was like, I think they wanted to get more guys into that blue belt sort of scenario because they probably are thinking, you know what, it's going to attract more newer guys. Because if they come in and say, oh, everyone's a white belt, that can feel secure. You feel like a sense of security, like you're not the only white belt in the class. But I also think it's one of those ones where there's a lot of blue belts here. Like I can get there too. Every business is different.
Yes.
Would I like to still be a white belt? Yeah, I would, because then I can go to competitions and destroy people still.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about. Do you think competition fast tracked your growth?
I only did one competition, so everyone's like, all right, you're an athlete, Scott, go and do a competition, you'll really enjoy it. But I just actually thought, I don't want to compete. I think when the last time we spoke, I was going to compete, but my wife had a miscarriage, and kind of just like I kind of reevaluated a lot of things. And after the Commonwealth Games in 2018, that like part of my being and that part of my ego and my soul that was always a competitor almost dissolved.
Yeah.
And like kind of like it was like you're on like a quest and a game, and once you finish the quest, like this soul can now rest. Like that for me, the Commonwealth Games was that. It was, I needed to prove to myself that if I put my mind and my body and everything into doing one thing, I can go to the highest level that I'm potentially capable of. Maybe the Olympics was on the cards for me, but I don't really want to sacrifice the things that I have to sacrifice to get to that level. So the Commonwealth Games for me was my pinnacle in weightlifting. Now, with jiu-jitsu, I just think it was, for me, and this is the reason why I'm only going to compete once a year, it's only ever going to be the New South Wales Open or like state championships, is because everything you do on the mats in training with the people you know is not going to be a replication of that, like of a more real life scenario. So I'm not saying competition is real life, but kind of it's more real than anything. And I think the olden day martial arts schools are like, yeah, go and get in a fight on the street. But when you're on a permanent residency path and trying to get your citizenship, you really don't want to fuck up and get in a fight and get kicked out of the country. So that's not really an option for me. So jiu-jitsu, the competition was just like, is what I'm learning working?
Yeah.
And essentially it did. Again, I went to my first competition, New South Wales State Championships, in April or May-ish of last year, I think it was. Maybe a little bit later. Can't remember the exact dates. It might have been, I think it was maybe June. It doesn't matter. Middle of last year. I signed up for gi, no gi at my weight class, which would be 93 kilos, so similar to my weightlifting weight class. And then I also did
and you
no
also
gi.
still weighed 88 kilos.
Yeah, I did weigh 88. I weighed in really light. The lady was like, oh, why didn't you go down a weight class? I'm like, I'm not going to cut weight for a fucking jiu-jitsu competition, for a white belt jiu-jitsu competition. That's a big pet peeve of mine, which we'll maybe touch on a little bit afterwards.
Jiu-jitsu weight class?
People who cut weight in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, why? You're shit. Like, and that's not me being derogatory to them. It's like, you're a white belt. If you're a black belt, or maybe a brown belt, then yeah, fair enough. Maybe cutting your weight class would be beneficial because it's gonna allow you to compete at your highest level.
Yeah.
But cutting weight at a low level in weightlifting or a low level in jiu-jitsu is not an effective strategy to be like a good athlete. Like you're stressing your body and your mind, and you're taking energy away from just the purpose of just going and competing. And if you're competing at a white belt to win, I think you need to like kind of question why are you doing what you're doing, and what was the purpose of it? Could you be getting that validation and that satisfaction from other areas of your life? So my first competition, showed up weighing light, won my gi competition. So I did 3 matches, finished the first 3 matches to get to the final. I choked all my opponents out with rear naked chokes. That is literally what I'd been working on the 2 and a bit months leading into that competition. So as I said, working from my back, working the armbar triangle omoplata sequence. I almost got a triangle, and then we were like kind of off the mats, and the other competitors on another mat almost like landed on my head. So I got reset, and the guy then escaped that position. But 2 seconds later, I got him in a rear naked choke. You can check my Instagram. And that was when I met the alpha athlete guy. I choked him out, and then when I stood up, I'm like, not celebrated, but just like, I won sort of thing. Him and his coach tried to say that he didn't tap, but he clearly did tap. And then the next day in no-gi, I made him tap, and I really made him tap. And then my last match, I won on points, just because the guy was obviously fighting really hard.
Because white belt is 3-minute rounds?
I think it was 5. It was 5 minutes, maybe 6 actually. I don't know, but I ended all my matches earlier than anticipated for the opponent.
How'd you go in no-gi? Because like Gracie Baja is like, we don't do much no-gi stuff.
Yeah, right? We do 1 no-gi a day. I have a natural disposition for no-gi because of the more fluid aspect of it. It's much harder to finish
Yeah.
because you are less like slowing down to that gear. That friction really slows things down, and just you've got like a gear that weighs a couple of kilos. Like you just everything's a bit slower. Whereas in no gear you get sweaty and you just slip and slide, and it's a bit of fun. Me and my wife were struggling to find parking. It's in the middle of Sydney. It's at like Sydney Uni, so we couldn't find parking. And I literally walked on the gear day, my second day competing, and like had to walk straight onto the mat. No warm up. But again, like falling back on my training, falling back on my strategy, I was not concerned. Like everyone's like, "You guys got you good? You good?" I'm like,
Yeah, I'm good.
yeah, I'm good. Like, are you good? Like, is this guy good? Is he ready? Like, I don't know why you're concerned about me. And yeah, again, I won the first match, again, rear naked choke, and then I won the second match, which was a final because there was only 3 guys in the division at that time. 4 guys in the division. And yeah, again, rear naked choke against the alpha fit guy. So suck it. And then I went up to open weight. I didn't do my open weight in the gi just because I was knackered. My forearms were so jacked, like from just gripping so hard. I did my open weight did my no gi competition open weight. Won my first match, lost my second. I faced a guy who was like 110 kilo Islander guy who was so long and lanky.
Yeah.
I'd never ever competed against a guy like that tall and that big. And it wasn't that he was stronger than me, it was just his like length was just so like, ugh. And he basically just got position on me, and like I just couldn't move him because I was just like, how do I face this guy? So I don't know who he was, but he was a really nice guy. And then I lost the third place match. So it is what it is. You got to win some, lose some. So 2 golds and 4th place. It's not too bad for.
But that's strange. The tall guys have like, it's such a different game, right?
Unbelievable. Like it's just. When I come against really tall, lanky guys, and if they learn to use their length well, it's almost impossible. Like if I come against a tall, lanky guy now, I'm just gonna like be like a little pit bull and just smash into them as hard and as fast as I can, and not allow them to use the distance.
Yes.
We've got a couple of guys at GB Weatherall Park, like younger kids who are a bit skinny, but they're really tall and long, and they've now started to learn to use their length. I'm like, little bastards. So foot locks, I've been giving them like straight foot locks and stuff like that because they like to try and use their feet to keep
push
distance. So I'm just like, nah, foot lock, go for it. But even then, they've learned now to escape those. So it's good. It's good. It's constantly evolving.
What else has been going on with you, man?
Well, I think when we last spoke, like it was more about my wife's miscarriage and my personal growth and development. Recently, end of 2019, the 21st of December, we had our final class at SAW. So I opened up SAW Athletic in March of 2017.
And that's your gym?
Yeah, that's
so
my
for people that listen to our previous episode, it was a really good one. I implore you to check it out.
So yeah, I opened up SAW Athletic because I felt like what I was doing at RAW Barbell Club and Lift Performance Center and stuff was just like pigeonholing me and limiting me in my capacity. So I felt like, you know what, I'm going to open up this gym. It's going to be great. No one's going to be doing kind of what we're doing, and didn't turn out that way. It was good the first year, and then we got to a point and we never really grew. And I discussed like one of the main reasons for that used to be the way I used to speak and communicate to people and my attitude. But after that, actually, other things were a factor too. So my wife had a miscarriage in early 2019, and then fortunate enough we got pregnant again, and now she's literally due in less than 3 weeks. So kind of like my priorities shifted, and I also had a bit of a realization. In 2015, I read a book called The E-Myth, and The E-Myth is like this book, and the guy talks about there's like 3 types of people in business. There's technicians, which are coaches or people who are really good at their craft. That might be a chef or someone. Then there's managers, people who are really good at like doing the day-to-day tasks and operating the business and making sure things run smoothly. And then there's entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs are the guys who like set up the business. And I've always been a technician with a little bit of a sprinkle of entrepreneur on me, but that wasn't what I was passionate about, and I definitely wasn't passionate about the managing of a business. So when I opened up SAW, I took the responsibility of being the technician, the coach, and being there present every day, and the cleaner as well, which I actually love cleaning. That's one of my favorite parts about owning a gym is cleaning it. I hate
Oh, really? We have a position.
Hey, but honestly, like I put up a post the other day jokingly about my like rower rail and how clean it was, and then funnily enough, I went to another gym in Newcastle just to like suss it out, and we were just talking about potential job opportunities, and the owner was like, "Oh yeah, one of your roles and responsibilities is definitely going to be cleaning the rowers," and I was like, "Fuck!" Like posted the day before about slamming gym owners where the rower rails like dirty, and then next minute I show up to a potential job opportunity, and the owner of that gym has seen it. It's just like, "Yeah, I'll clean your rowers, don't worry. I'll make sure they're spanking clean." But yeah, my passion is coaching and helping people, and my growth, I think, allows me then to help people realize like their potential and their growth. The day-to-day stuff of like counting coppers, as Robert Baratheon would say, and like managing the business is not what I'm into. And fortunately for me, my wife took that responsibility, and there was nobody really filling that role of the entrepreneur who was going out and seeking new business, who was going out and making new bringing in new revenue streams and stuff like that. And yeah, that's only 2 of those roles were really being filled. And when you don't have the entrepreneur or someone who's growing the business and really driving like the vision forward, things kind of just like grow and die and just teeter out. And that's kind of what's happened to us. Like we've got an amazing, we had an amazing community. We still have an amazing community. Last night I was out for dinner with 3 of my members. I've built friendships or relationships that I think will stand the test of time, and I'll have those people in my life forever. But the concept of SAW and owning a business and stuff just no longer aligned with what I wanted to do in my life. And with a kid coming on the way, we just thought, you know what, it's time. Like our lease was coming to an end as well. That's like the main reason. Yeah. We couldn't just shut the gym down, because we probably would have done that a year ago. But as a business owner yourself, you'll know that you sign a lease, and that lease is for a set period of time. And unless you can find another person to come in and take over the lease, then you're kind of stuck, because you are a guarantor. Like you are responsible for that lease. So yeah, it was time, and we just went, you know what, this is the hardest decision we're ever going to make. Like I always thought that I wanted to be a gym owner ever since the day that I got into CrossFit. And my early days in CrossFit were like watching all the YouTube videos, going on CrossFit.com, watching all like the garage gym stuff. People grew their gym from their garage, then they went and found their first space and their second space. And I thought that was the path that I thought I was going to take. And yeah, we kind of grew. We went too big too early, which cost us. We got business advice coaching, which fucking cost us an absolute fortune and did nothing for us. And yeah, we kind of just like that. Those early days, we attached things to us that created just too much weight to pull, and it kind of zapped our energy for it. And another time, another place, potentially it would be successful, but I'm very excited about what the future holds now. I'm not sad about losing SAW. SAW did not define me. I was never that business owner that was like, you know what, I am SAW and SAW is me. I always try to separate those two, and that's probably one of the reasons I'm wearing the t-shirt right now.
But I mean, Scott
Alan Wilson. Yeah, no, that was.
It does kind of define.
It kind of does, but what I meant in the sense was like, it wasn't me. I wasn't SAW. SAW wasn't me. I was Scott, and I wanted to keep that.
Yes.
Keep my own identity, and probably that's one of the reasons why my business did fail, was because I wasn't 100% invested in being SAW.
Do you see it as a failure though?
No, absolutely not. This has been the best experience of my life. Like it's clarified everything for me. And
imagine all the people that spend the like 10, 20 years building up their coaching, their clientele, all with the hopes of owning a gym themselves one day. You've done that in the first sort of 5 years. You've had that journey and realized that that's not what you want to do. Yeah. And now you get to spend the next 10 years doing what you do want to do.
Exactly. So, would there be things that I would do different? Of course. Like, I was jaded and upset at CrossFit because CrossFit became something that I didn't think it was.
Yeah.
If I could go back, I would become a CrossFit gym straight away. That would be the first thing I'd do. I'd register as a CrossFit affiliate. Why? Because CrossFit is constantly varied, high intensity functional movements. CrossFit is not defined by the CrossFit Games. There are CrossFit gyms that are out there that are doing amazing things, but I became jaded in the sense where I disliked the CrossFit community so much because it was all about the games and pushing that rhetoric of more and more and more and more, and I just knew that that wasn't the right thing. So as a rebellion essentially against CrossFit, I opened up Saw Athletic when it should have been fucking whatever, CrossFit Preston's Saw Athletic, powered by Saw Athletic. Like, it should have been an off-brand, and eventually it might have became just Saw Athletic. Also, who the fuck is Scott Wilson and who the fuck is Saw Athletic? You know me because we're familiar with one another through the weightlifting community and CrossFit and other shit as well. But we really, nobody where I live gives a fuck about Scott Wilson or Saw Athletic. It means nothing to them, and they just see, all right, CrossFit never quits down the road, and they only charge $50. You charge $69. I'm just gonna go there. Like the population or the community just. The general population just doesn't see the advantages or disadvantages. They just see price point a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that's also me not doing a very good job of communicating my value. So that, honestly, I reckon if I'd become a CrossFit affiliate, that would have made just a massive monumental shift in my potential to be successful as a gym owner. But at the end of the day, it wasn't for me. It wasn't what I enjoyed doing. So now, as you said, like, I've learned all these lessons. I learned how to be a nicer person. I'm still working on that. It's never going to change. That's never going to like stop being a focus for me. I've realized that I'm a really good coach, but I'm not a good business owner or a good entrepreneur. I have the ability to go out and find customers and stuff like that, but it's not my passion. Now I can go and find a gym owner who enjoys being a entrepreneur and a manager and enjoys those aspects of it, and attach myself to their vision, and obviously hopefully have an influence on their vision, and live truer to my purpose and my beliefs and my values now, because I've had the dead weight of having a business attached to me removed, essentially. So I'm very, very optimistic and very, very excited about what the future holds. And in less than 4 weeks, I'll be a father too. So I'm sure
that's exciting.
Yes, I'm sure that's going to change my life as well. But yeah, that's I don't know. I'm people say blessed all the time. I fucking hate that, but I am pretty like blessed and fortunate that I've got a really supportive wife. I've got a really supportive family. Both my in-laws and my mum and dad are really supportive. I've got friends or community members that, like, last night went out to dinner with them. I've got people like you, like people in the community. I'm just very fortunate to have some amazing people around me, and people who inspire me to be a better version of myself and inspire me to move on. I've always landed on my feet, so I was never scared when I said that we were going to shut down Saw. The hardest part is just literally saying goodbye to members.
Yeah.
And like, there's people who, when they joined the gym, I wasn't very fond of them and stuff, and now they're like some of my best friends, and I spend weekends going to festivals and hanging out with them. And yeah, there's like these people that have like basically become my family. Yeah, so that is the hardest part for me, is being like going, you know what, I love you guys to death, but this is the right thing for me and my immediate family, but you guys will always be part of me forever. Yeah, so that's that. I'm literally getting choked up by thinking about it, because like there are people out there who are very important to me. Do you want to get a tissue?
No, not at all.
Thank you.
No, I completely understand it, because that's the same way I feel about my members.
Yeah.
And I've often thought about what the future holds and what's the future of RAW Barbell. And that's part of the reason I talk to you. Like, we talked for half an hour after our last podcast about what's going on now and the potential for that. And we talked about it for my gym too.
Yeah.
And I'm not at the stage where I want to close it.
Yeah.
But that's not off the cards.
Yeah.
But the main thing that's stopping well, one of the big things that's stopping me is my love for my team.
Yeah.
Because they are family.
Yeah.
And the big problem with closing a gym when you have that is that the reason that you guys get to hang out together, a big reason, is that you meet up every day.
Exactly.
And without that, you know, people will drift apart.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, we gym shut on the 21st. We told our members on the week before December. So we went for like an early Christmas party, and it's like in the back of my heart, like the whole meal, I'm just like got this sinking feeling like, fuck, I'm about to tell my members. And like, we finished dinner. We were at like some guy, fuck, I don't know, some Vietnamese barbecue restaurant in
No,
Canada.
try and pronounce it.
Yeah. I literally can't remember. It's like Hai Ao or something like that. It's like I can't remember the actual.
Is your Vietnamese getting better?
Yeah, a little bit. I can say like Gai Mung, which means a spoon, and Gai Nia, which is a fork, maybe. Yeah. I was really working on it for a little while. It's part of my New Year resolution to get back into that. 5 words a week is what I learn. If I can learn 5 words a week, that's enough.
Are you using an app, or are you just trying to learn?
I just literally get my in-laws to write the words down. I'd say these are the words I want to learn. These are the words I learn, and I just every day I repeat them, and then I like do like flashcards and stuff like that.
Cool.
Once my son's old enough, I will go to Vietnamese school with him. I'll be like Adam Sandler. I'll be like, hello, all these little kids learning Vietnamese. So we told them in end of November, last week in November, we went out for dinner as a sore like Christmas dinner, and then we said like that's going to be the time we tell them. That's 5 weeks notice from when we told them to when the gym shuts. So if someone wants to cancel their membership, they're more than welcome to, but we hope that most of them would stay on, and pretty much like 99% of my members stayed on right the way to the end.
What did that like? Do you mind talking about that conversation?
Yeah.
Like,
It was.
Did you have pre-planned?
I had pre-planned what I was going to say, and when it came to it, I just couldn't. Like we walked outside the restaurant. There was this little like patch of grass across the road, and we were going to the bar that was literally across the road again.
Yeah.
And we were like, right, guys, we're just going to have a quick chat before some people leave because they weren't going to come and drink with us and stuff like that. And it turned out they ended up coming and drinking with us. Got pretty lit that night. But yeah, just standing there, and I was just like.
Did you have them sit?
No, we're just standing. We're just standing. I was just like, I just like couldn't even like put it into words initially, and it was just literally, you guys mean the world to us. Like we love you to death and stuff like that. But unfortunately, there comes a time and a place where you need to make things end, and make the hard decision to end things. Christine and I are not taking this like situation lightly. We've explored pretty much every option possible. But at the end of the day, it's come to this. Unfortunately, we are going to have to close down SOAR at the end of the year. And everyone was just like, what the fuck? Like, everyone, like, because some of our closer friend members, like, we had, like, informed them that we were, like, not struggling, but we weren't doing well. Like, as a business financially, SOAR was at the point where it was self-sustaining. It was paying off its own debts. But I wasn't taking an income from SOAR. Yeah. But, like, I was getting, like, $150 a week. And that's not really much. It's like it's pocket money. We've lived for the last 3 years off my wife's wage essentially, and had like done everything off of that. And yeah, like I've held it way better together than I thought I was going to. I thought I was going to cry like a big baby, and I did crying like a big baby. Not that crying makes you a baby, but just like wailing like a baby I was. So we
then and there or later?
Yeah, no, then and there pretty much. Like so, I held it together pretty much till like we'd told everyone, and then when I started expressing the emotions that the gym made us feel and how we felt about members, that was now when things start welling up inside of you. So yeah, everyone took it really well. We did like a massive big group hug. I went around and just hugged and thanked everyone individually, and just said like, I'm sorry, but this is the right thing to do for me, my wife, and my future son. And then we just went and got drunk, which is a pretty stereotypical way of dealing with your emotions.
It's a very Aussie way. Yeah,
very
You're
Aussie
really getting, taking this permanent residency thing seriously.
Oh, definitely. So I wasn't on the schooners. I was on the passion fruit mojitos.
I see.
I'm a very fruity sort of guy. I like my sweet drinks. So I don't
Really?
Yeah, I do not drink straight liquor. I don't mind cider.
Yeah.
Cider's probably like the most like brewery sort of thing that I'll go to, but I don't drink beer. I don't drink stout, any of that stuff. It's fruity drinks. So Copperbergs, like really like sugary Copperbergs.
So like vodka cruises?
Yeah, I'm not. Hey, I'm not that camp. No, I'm joking. I will drink them, but usually when I'm doing cruises, it's a straw pedo. You put a straw in, you loop it around, you swill it, and it just falls straight into your throat. I've got an ability to drink liquids very fast.
Really?
Yeah. So no gag reflex. Hey now. Literally. Don't ask me how I found that one out. So yeah, we just had a really good night together. Everyone got drunk. I was so like, you know what it's like. Your members, you go out, if you have a gym and you go out with your members always want to buy you drinks. So I was just, every time I was getting like, I was halfway through a drink, I'd have another one. And there was one point where I was triple parked.
Yeah.
And I had to, they were like, Skull. I just went down, and that was a bad mistake, because my wife's, I should say our baby shower was the next day.
Oh.
So I got home that night. We didn't get home that late. It was about 11 o'clock. And I did a tactical puke or a tactical chalky, so I tried to throw up. But again, I don't have a gag reflex, so I'm there like hands down my throat trying to like disrupt my guts enough to try and bring it up, and nothing. And then about 2 o'clock in the morning, it all just came up.
Oh,
and didn't make it out of the bedroom. I was sick on the bedroom floor, sick in the hallway, and then I'm lying down prone in the shower with fully naked and just throwing up in the shower. And yeah.
And you know, you give your poor pregnant wife. That's
yeah, she has to do that. I just remember being like, I'm so blackout drunk at this point that I don't remember throwing up on the floor. I don't remember throwing up in the hallway. But I do remember lying face down in the shower, and because it was dark, because like I didn't have time to throw any lights on.
Yeah.
I'm lying prone in the shower throwing up, and then all of a sudden this beam of light comes on, and I'm like, ugh. And I look over my shoulder, and there's my wife like mopping up my sick, and I'm just like, oh man. And I can't remember getting back into bed, and then I don't know what it is. My body has a very good ability to process bad things, whether they're bad food, other things than alcohol. And yeah, I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, bright as a button. No hangover, no nothing.
Really?
I don't know what it is. I just don't really get hungover. I don't really have that scat feeling that people that get sometimes.
How did Christine feel in the morning?
She was tired, and she was a little bit annoyed because she had to get up early to go to a friend's house to go and start organising stuff for the baby shower. And yeah, I got up, drank a bunch of water, and yeah, just prepared myself mentally and emotionally to just have to be around people for the rest of the day. So then we had our baby shower. Our baby shower was great. Went off without a few hitches, but nothing too major. And yeah, so that was like kind of the story of shutting down the gym. A very Aussie way to end it. Yeah, and then it's pretty hard. It's easy, but it's also hard knowing that like you've set this date for the gym shutting, and every week you're getting closer and closer. The first 2 weeks after telling people I was fine, coaching as usual, like probably a little bit more upbeat than normal, and then it like dawned on me. I remember the week before the last week, so the penultimate week essentially, I'm just there like couple of times like getting a bit teary in class, like seeing members do things that make me proud of them, like thinking back to like where they were when they started and now where they are as we're like shutting down, where it's ending, and I'm just like, oh my god. And then our final week, the way that I used to structure programming for SOAR was we'd do testing. We had a standard testing protocol, and then we would do our program, and then and start next cycle we'd do another testing protocol. I didn't really want to do a testing week because we hadn't really prepared for it, and I wasn't planning on using that week as a testing week. That was just meant to be a training week, but we kind of just did like a little bit of like a test and see. And we've been following the ATG program for about 3 months, and ATG is the Athletic Truth Group, or the knees over toe guy. If you follow my Instagram, you'll see me doing it naked. No penises or anything shown, but you will see me carrying it out naked sometimes in my gym. It is a really, really
It's part of the reason why they had to shut down. That's the real reason.
Yeah, that's the real reason. It's an amazing program, very, 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 very beneficial. Like my body's not felt better since like probably I've not felt this good since probably 2017. and yeah, I wasn't expecting any of my members to hit PRs because we literally had not squatted or deadlifted or anything for a long time. We'd just been doing like split squats and fucking ATG squats with dumbbells and lunges and all these other different things. We've not actually done any barbell lifts, but practically everyone hit 90%.
And ATG squat is just an incline board squat, right?
Yeah, they've got their version for the original ATG squat is where you will go up onto your toes. So you'll start with your heels on the ground, holding a dumbbell
Like
in
a
front
Hindu
of you.
squat?
Kind of like a Hindu squat. So you go up on your toes, knees over toe, like you're up on your like balls of your foot, and then you come back down. And
so exactly like a Hindu squat.
I don't even know what a Hindu squat is.
Okay.
I think it's like that.
Yeah.
But weighted, loaded, and then they do have a board version where they tell you to like throw a board behind your heels, but that's more for load. Then once you've got comfortable doing the ATG squat, then we'll add heel support so that you can increase load, more stability. It's going to allow you to really push that weight. But yeah, as I said, like our members had hardly been squatting, done literally no squats for for over 10 weeks.
Because they were doing the other
Because they're doing all the other protocols. And yeah, then everyone just, that's my alarm going off just to let me know my wife will be on her way from her appointment with her physio. So we've got time. But yeah, last couple of weeks I was like, right, okay, let's just throw squats back in the program. Just give them a couple of weeks of squatting, a couple of weeks of deadlifting, a couple of weeks of press and challenge, just get back in the swing of things. And then that last week we'll just do like not an actual testing week, but just let them go.
Just see where they are.
Just see where they are. Most people hit 90% plus. Quite a few people hit PRs, and like when people started hitting PRs, I was just like, fuck, because you just have those little like moments. Like literally before we told our members in the lead up to that week, we had our best week in terms of attendance.
Yeah.
And it was like in your head, you're like second guessing yourself. But post telling people, the people who really cared, they did stick around and were there more present, and just we were having way better conversations. But the few people who were like kind of in out, they kind of just like drifted away, and it made it apparent to us that it was the right decision to do. But then again, like that week where we went heavy again, it was like, oh my god, and I'm gonna miss this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna miss seeing this progress and measuring this progress and like quantifying it. Essentially, it's like, right, you were here when you started, Nicole, like you could hardly squat, and now you're all the way here. Our very last session, we had a really pretty decent turnout. We had like 14, 15 members of like our 30 members that we have, and it was just a really nice sending off.
And how emotional was that?
Pardon?
How emotional was that session?
I was good up until again we said bye. And one of the I put up on my Instagram, like one of the amazing things was I didn't expect anyone to stay around afterwards and help me, but like I said, like, right guys, like thanks, like I've said my goodbye, we've hung around for 30 minutes, but I need to crack on. And they were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I'm just gonna start stripping the gym apart and putting everything together. Like, okay, let us help you. And I'm like, okay. And what literally took me and a guy that I employed to help me do it, like a week to set up the gym, took us like 30 odd minutes to just pull it apart. And it's pretty sad actually when you think about it. It's like 3 years for 30 minutes to strip it all away. And then the next day I had to pull down the rig and stuff, which took a little bit longer, but took way less time than putting it together. Yeah, it's pretty amazing how long it takes something to build and grow, and then how quickly you can just like rip it apart. So yeah, that was like that whole week of shutting down the gym. Like I did not cry any day, and there were just days where I would just be like, my wife would be like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yep," and then it would be like burst out tears. But pretty much the week after we shut the gym, like that was the day that we shut the gym down. The next day, that was like mentally and like logically, that was when it was like, right, there's no going back now. We have begun to strip the gym away. Emotionally, it probably took me about another week, and even to this day, I still get emotional when I talk about it. But that week after shutting down, like I was very emotionally volatile, just like struggling to process how I felt about it. But I know that it was the right decision for me and my wife. So
rationally, yeah, but like during that period, I'm curious about what is going on emotionally. Like, what are these feelings that are welling up? Is it loss? Is it Like,
It's everything. It's just everything. Like,
is it just too much?
it wasn't too much. I'm
Like, is that what?
Yeah, I'm a very like grounded person. I've done some experiences over the last couple of years which are meant to change that and meant to like open you up to different things and just like make you a little bit more aware of what else is out there. And I've been able to really keep myself grounded, and I've done a fair bit of that.
Yeah.
I've done quite a bit of exploring, and that's what's kind of like really like facilitated my growth emotionally and like the kind of disillusion of my ego and stuff like that. I basically died again when we shut the gym down. It was like, right, this, even though egotistically I knew that like this was the right thing to do. Like and even though I'd said to you before that I didn't tie SAW to my own image, it is part of you. It's like it's part of you, and the members are part of you. They're a representation of you, and I take absolute pride in how my members move, like, and the things that they're capable of. Like, we were never the strongest gym, we were never the fittest gym, but when we looked at the essence of my guys' capabilities, they were a lot more capable from like where they ended from where they started. Like, nobody ever came to my gym and got worse. There was always growth and changing of mindsets and changing of like how they approached exercises and fitness and stuff like that. So they are you and you are them, sort of thing. So yeah, you experience all the emotions. Like, I don't know, there's a million stages of grieving. I can't remember there's like a popular one, like where you deal with like
7 stages.
Yeah, 7 stages of grieving. Like, you go through all of that, but some days it would just be absolute pride of me. Like, I would cry because I'm so proud of like seeing a member do something that like they couldn't do before. And then other times it was complete regret and remorse. It's like, you were an absolute see you next Tuesday, and you can put all the CUNT together, and like, you are responsible for your gym shutting down, Scott. You are like, and I'm a very dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'd say to my members like, oh yeah, I'm responsible for X, Y, and Z, and they'd be like, no, that's not the case. And it's like, no, it is. Like, that is definitely part of it. And then there would be the sadness from like not seeing certain members every day. Like, you see one person or a couple of people who mean, not saying more to you than the rest of the gym, but they are even closer to you in an emotional sense, where you daily will socialize with them, text them, just have other interactions, and it dawns on you that is going to be removed. And even though we're so interconnected through social media and WhatsApp and all these other messaging apps and stuff, visually and physically being in contact with them and just seeing them is what makes your day better. And losing that part is probably like again, welling up, that's probably like the hardest part. Is like, how do I put it? I'm not a loner, but I'm a loner sort of thing. As a kid, I connected with older people a lot more than I connected with the people in my own age group. So there was a time when I remember I was in primary school or in middle school. I was going into year 7, and I hung around with kids that were like 2-3 years older than me, and they were all moving on to a high school. So my social group essentially just dissolved in the course of one day. Like, all right, this is the last day of school. Here's all your friends. Now all your friends are gone. Now you got to make new friends. I've moved around from Germany, born in Germany, moved to Scotland, created new friends in Scotland, built friendships there. All right, got to 19 years old, moved to Australia. I've been very fortunate to have these experiences and move from place to place to place, because I get to see that the world is bigger than just the town that you were born and grew up in. But you lose those connections that, like, you grew up here?
Yeah,
in this area? Did you go to school in this area?
No. I didn't grow up in this area.
Okay.
I moved around a bit.
All right. So someone, for example, that's listening to this podcast will have been born and grew up in the same town and still live to this day in that same town. And they've got friends who they were friends with from primary school, from literally day one reception all the way up until they're dead.
Yeah.
I don't have any of that, really. There are people that I have remained in contact with, but I wouldn't say I have any like really like close best friends, and that was my avenue for socialization. I love my wife to death. She loves me to death, but we also get on each other's fucking nerves. And we don't want to spend every waking minute and hour on one another. And I listened to your podcast with Lindsay, and it, like, a lot of the stuff that he was talking about like really struck home, that you can't make your marriage like about you two sort of thing. Like, you can't just be so dependent on yourself. You've got to have your own outlets for yourself and your own ways of socializing, and just got to have your own space.
Yeah.
And
you're still independent
yeah,
people.
Yeah. But a lot of the time, like, you kind of like, if you lack that social aspect, you're going to start clinging more to your partner and stuff like that. And like, so I've removed a big part of me. So now I've got to find almost a replacement for that. I've got to find an avenue for me to socialize, and that might be jiu-jitsu. It might be wrestling. It might, who knows? But I don't want to put the pressure on my wife now. Like, I know that a big part of my social circle has gone, and even though I will attempt to stay in contact with a lot of those people if I can, but inevitably things will drift apart.
Yeah, well, your reason for being close has gone. Yeah.
So I don't want to put that pressure on my wife. My wife has friends. My wife has social circles outside of our relationship. I have people that I'm social with, but not extremely close on a day-to-day basis. So now I've literally got to replace that part of me with something else. So I've got to find another avenue to put that energy to. Otherwise, that could have a pretty negative impact on my wife and our relationship, and potentially our son as well.
Yeah, little Andy.
Yeah. Oliver.
We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. I actually do like the name Andy, but my dad's called Andrew. So it's that name's
That'd be perfect.
That'd be perfect. Andrew Jr. Andy Jr. That's again, it's just like that. That's really the hardest thing I think is going to be. It's just the loss of those day-to-day connections and relationships, and yeah. And I hope for your sake, I hope for your sake you make the right decision, and you don't have to necessarily go through what I go through, but if you do, like, I'm here for you.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. And I'm super proud of you.
Yeah.
I like whether that means anything to you or not. Like, when you told me that you made the decision, I was like so happy.
Yeah.
Because it's brave to start something, but it's really brave to consider stopping.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have trouble starting and finishing things.
Yeah.
And you finished something amazing.
Yeah.
Your gym was cool. I watched all your videos back in the day. All your snatch technique videos. I even watched the weird videos you used to make that your social media guy used to make you make.
Oh, like the talking to the camera stuff? Yeah.
And I watched everything.
Yeah.
So I've seen your development as a coach, as a gym owner, as everything.
Yeah.
And I've been like, wow.
Yeah.
Made some steps. He's doing cool stuff.
Yeah.
I haven't watched your nude videos.
So do I. Is that weird? Yeah, man. As I said, I'm very fortunate. I've been extremely fortunate, and as you said, like, that is the hardest part. I think being able to call it quits and call it a day. That I wouldn't have been able to do that if I didn't have the support network that I do. Like, as I said, I always land on my feet. I literally stumbled into Lift Performance Center and got that job. I stumbled across Heights Barbell Club and got that job. From that, I built the network to support me to open up SOAR. There's always light at the end of the tunnel. There's always going to be something new that's going to come along, something that's going to be exciting, it's going to reinvigorate you. Like, for you, it's Strongman. Like, I'm sure that has like reignited your passion for training.
Yeah. It
like,
really has.
For me, like, jiu-jitsu was that. ATG's been really, really great as well. Wrestling is going to be the next thing. We'll have to wait and see. I'll tell you how that goes after tonight. But yeah, there's always something new, and there's always the next thing. But at the same time, I'm always going to carry that part of me with sore. It's like, you know what, like I went and I did it, and I gave it my best shot, and of course I fucked up. There are many things that I wish I could change in me, but I'm satisfied. I can honestly say that I'm satisfied with what I did. Yeah.
On to new adventures.
Yeah, on to new things. So, kid on the way, traveling. I'm really, honestly, like, even though it's sad to shut the gym down, I feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders, and like, I just feel liberated. I was at Aldi the other day, and money has not been, like, we've not just had loads of disposable income, we're living off one wage, my wife's wage, and like, yeah, you don't have money to just throw around and stuff like that. But the other day I was at Aldi, and previously, if I'd been in this situation, I knew I would not have done what I did. But there was an older lady who, I had earphones in, I was just listening to a podcast, and got to the checkout. I had one item. I literally bought some smoked sausages, some German style smoked sausages. And I was standing there, and the woman was
homesick?
like, "Pardon? No, I wasn't homesick. My mum had told me about them, because I was like, I was homesick in the sense my mum and dad had just had a chippy, and I was like, oh, I really fancy a smoked sausage supper right now. And mum was like, go to Aldi, they do smoked sausages. So I went and got some smoked sausages, and I'm standing in the line, and this lady, I didn't hear her, but she said, "Do you want to go ahead of me?" And I was like, "Oh, it's fine," because the lady had already started, like the teller checkout lady had already started putting her stuff through, and yeah. Whatever. I was like, no, it's okay. I'm in no rush. I literally said, I'm in no rush, which a month ago, she said it to me. I'm like, yeah, I want to go ahead of you. Like, you're doing my head, and get out of the way. I want to go. And I just felt way more relaxed and slower, even dried slower. And that's not because it's double demerits and I only have like a few points left. But like, I mean, way more like just chill mode right now. And the lady went to pay. She put a card in, pin in, fail. And I could see the checkout lady getting a bit frustrated. For fuck's sake, this lady doesn't know how to do it. Just tap your card in. And the lady was like, "Oh no, I don't know how to tap. I don't think it's set up." And I took my earphone out by this point, and I was just like, "You know what? Fuck it. I'll pay for it."
Yeah.
And it was like, I said to the checkout lady, I was like, "Just scan my sausages and I'll pay for it." And she was like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I was like, "How much is it?" She's like, "Oh, it's $20 odd." I'm like, I don't give a shit. Like, but I now have that. I used to have that energy that I had to be able to give to that lady, and that money potentially I gave to that lady. But previously, it was locked up in sore, because when you look at your bank statement every month and you realize, every week that you get your direct debits coming, you're like, shit, my weekly outgoings are X, and I only made Y, and it wasn't more than X. So fuck, I'm back this month. Like, when you see that on a weekly basis as a gym owner. Not all the time, but sometimes, say like, a few members are on hold and stuff like that does, like, it saps your energy, it saps your time, it saps your like happiness. But now that I don't have that, I'm like, okay, I can give $20, like I can donate $100 to the RFS, or I can pay for one of David Willis, the professor, David Willis, his girlfriend Shanae had painted these nice koalas. It's like, yeah, fuck it, I'll buy one of them. I'll if that money's going to somewhere good, like I have more capacity to give, and I think that's what's going to take my coaching to the next level. Is I know what it was like to be a business owner. I can empathize with the business owner that I go and work with. Whereas previously, I just thought, you're a fucking idiot. I could do this way better than you, which is not true.
Yeah.
I have taken all that energy that I used to put into my gym and try to just keep my gym alive, and now I can actually take that for myself, can take that for my wife and my kid. But when I go back to coaching, if I do find a coaching role that suits me and I can be selective over my coaching roles now, I'm going to be able to give way more. I'm going to be able to be way more empathetic. I'm going to have more personal life experience. I'm going to understand from a business owner's perspective what they want and how they want me to conduct their sessions, and what the outcomes they want for their members.
And the reasoning behind it.
Exactly,
Because
yeah.
You might not have had that when you were coaching, but now that you've owned a gym, you understand.
Yeah, so I'm just, as I said, excited for what the future holds. So if there's any gym owners out there who's looking for a head coach, hit me up. CrossFit, anything, I can do it all. I'm amazing. But seriously, I do feel like because I went through CrossFit.
Yeah.
CrossFit constantly very high intensity functional movements. When we got into CrossFit early, it was all about being the best at gymnastics, being the best at weightlifting, being the best at rowing or skiing, and all these other different things. It did get put into a funnel. But I feel like now that Greg Glassman and some of the guys are starting to make it a little bit more about fitness, a bit about health and wellness. With that funnel where it was smaller is now becoming bigger, and there are going to be those gyms out there who are focused on like working on the higher end, like CrossFit athletes types, go-getters. But there's also just going to be those gyms that go, you know what, like we'll maybe do a WOD-ish sort of type thing, but we're just wanting our members to move around and be healthy and stuff. And like I actually really enjoy working with that group.
Yeah.
But
You just want to change people's lives.
I just want to change people's lives, and I'm really like hoping to focus on kids as well over the next few years, because like we look at the injury rates of kids, like ACL injuries is like skyrocketing. Kids, there's nothing more common than someone with potential who doesn't do anything with that potential. Like I could have been this or I could have done that. Like that's one of the main reasons why I really want to go to wrestling for the Commonwealth Games, so I can show to my kid that, hey, your dad wasn't a wrestler before, but he took the skills that he had and he applied the knowledge that he had to learning, and he made something of himself. Like some people, they wouldn't give a shit if you went to the Commonwealth Games. I personally put a high regard on it, but maybe he will go, you know what, fucking, I want to change the world. I want to be able to desalinate water so that we've got a constant water supply, and I want to find a more effective way of doing that. And I'm going to work hard to do it because, well, my dad fucking did all these things by working hard. So, yeah, hopefully I can inspire some kids to be more and do more as well. Because there's a lot of like inspiration, a lot of like motivation online for kids, but there's not really like many like actual role models anymore. If you look at it, like, yeah, we'll see.
Cool, man. Where, if people do want to get in contact with you for job opportunities, where can they find you?
Facebook, message me on Facebook or my number. I won't give my number out openly, actually.
Well, they can reach out to me.
Yeah,
and I'll
reach out.
pass
Yeah,
on.
reach out. Like, and
Do you still have your Instagram though?
I have my Instagram, Scott__Wilson, 3 underscores. That's the.
That was only 2 underscores that you said.
Underscore.
Yeah.
Scott____.
At any point, did you regret putting 3 underscores in your name?
I do, but it's also like became like a little bit of a trademark. Scott Wilson was obviously taken. Yeah. I was on Instagram really early, well, relatively early, 2011 or something like that. I don't think I posted till 2012 when I came to Australia. That was kind of like my like thing of coming to Australia, because my friend told me about this app, like, oh, you just post photos. I'm like, oh, that's cool. When I come to Australia, I'm just gonna like, that's gonna be my thing. It's gonna be like my memento. Yeah. So like, I've got literally from my first like days in Australia, that documents my journey. So my Instagram currently is the documentation of my journey in Australia. Perhaps I should start a new Instagram. Maybe. Perhaps. Start real fresh. Yeah, start real fresh. Hashtag wrestling wanker. Yeah, like, oh, but that is my next hashtag, that's for sure. Yeah, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should start a new Instagram for a new decade and a new life. Scott_Wilson. Scott_Wilson. Or Wilson___Scott, the opposite way. Something different. Yeah. Yeah. What's next for you? Me, all cards for the Arnold. Yeah. Just putting everything into the gym right now. So I'm kind of lucky in the sense that I've never had. I mean, I've had financial pressure. Yeah. No, she's all good. I'm just checking. I've had financial pressure, but I already have like a secondary source of income. Yep. So like that was something that I didn't struggle with as much. Yeah. And I still have that business, so from that sense it's good, but I'm sort of... And how is that business going? The other one? Yeah. Yeah, it's the same as it's always been. I always cut it down, and now I'm just, putting all my cards in this. Into the gym. To see how far I can take it. Yeah. And then once I've done that, once I can say that I've put everything I can into it. Yeah. Because I've always had like one foot in the door, one foot out. After that period of time, I'm going to assess and make decisions based on that. Where do you think the most growth for the gym will come right now for you? How do you think you're like going to grow the gym? What's going to be the best way? The best way for me would be online coaching. Online coaching, yeah. I have so much fun doing it. Yeah. And I'm really good at it. Yeah. So... And my guys seem to like get along well. Like my online guys get along well with me. Yeah, sweet. So that's where I'm pushing. Pushing on that, and is that the clients that you're finding that are they ex-CrossFitters? What's the script with that in terms of like ex-CrossFitters, even just regular people. Yeah. Just people that want to get strong, but
don't necessarily know what they're doing, or they just need the support.
Yeah, you just need that someone in the background.
Because that's what I had.
Yeah.
When I first started, when I first started weightlifting, my coach was online.
Yeah.
But, I knew him.
Yeah.
But
Who was that?
Rob Downton.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Well,
like,
I thought you worked with Rob in terms of like.
I did.
Yeah.
But like, he didn't coach me in person.
in
It was
person.
like a
Yeah, it was just
online program.
All right. Awesome. And do you still speak to Rob?
No,
No.
not as much.
Not as
No,
much. Not as
no.
much. And
Like we're cordial, but like
yeah.
when we moved on, we moved on.
moved on. Yeah, sweet. And in terms of the members here, like how would you grow the members here?
With the guys here, I'm just focused right now on, I'm doing a phase of me just like really focusing on them itself.
Yeah.
And once I've got everyone down, so like I'm moving a lot of people onto like individual programs and stuff like that, because I just want to make sure that all of their goals are set.
Yeah.
Then I can reflect that outwards and say, this is what we're doing.
What we're doing, yeah. So are you changing from a class or like a group program methodology to individualized
Slowly,
program? Yeah.
We'll still run like a group program for
Yeah.
like, especially like the weightlifters and stuff, because it's easy to change on the fly.
Yeah.
But mainly focusing on like the individuals, making sure that they're hitting their targets and goals.
Yeah.
And then from there, I'm gonna move on to getting more people from different sports and stuff.
Nice, sweet. And personal life, how was Canada and stuff?
Canada was amazing.
Yeah.
So that's my other big goal, is to make the gym able to support me spending more time with Kush and her weird pursuits of moving to other countries all the time.
Running away from you.
So I'm a chaser, man.
Yeah. And when's the next time you will be seeing her?
February.
Yeah.
So
sweet.
she'll be here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
6 to 8 weeks.
Nice.
Something like that.
Awesome. So she's coming back for a holiday. Is
Yeah,
her
she's
family
coming
still
back.
here?
Her family's here. Yeah. Her family trains here.
Oh,
Her mum
there
and
you
dad
go.
train here. Yeah.
So she's got to come back anyway.
At some point.
At some point.
But she moved. So she's like you.
Yeah.
She lived all over the place: Japan, England, Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
I don't know where else. Probably somewhere else.
Probably
too.
somewhere else.
Yeah. So like.
Yeah, it's got its upsides, but also got its downsides. I do think back and go, you know what, like it would be nice to have some friends who I'm being connected with from like tiddlywinks to now, but at the same time, like I have got a way bigger perspective than a lot of people. Some people literally think their world revolves around the town that they're born in.
Yes.
And like not so much Sydney because we're such a multicultural place, but even still, people do get stuck. Like when we shut down the gym and I mentioned to some people that we're considering to move back to Newcastle, like, what? You're gonna move? I'm like, yeah, it's only 2.5 hours north. My parents live there. Like it's way more chilled, cheaper. Like there's so many upticks. Like the downside is I don't get pho every night and I don't have like yummy Asian food, or like multicultural food, but like I can just come down to Sydney if I really want it. I can come down and have like a food safari. So yeah, we'll see.
Is there a GB?
There's a lot of GBs. There's GB Newcastle, which is run by some black belt guy, and then a girl that used to train with me sometimes in CrossFit when I used to coach CrossFit in Newcastle. Her husband Arnaldo owns a GB Charlestown.
Oh, cool.
So I think there's another one as well. I think there's one other. But
they're everywhere.
Newcastle's a very densely populated place in terms of like fitness industry. There's a lot of CrossFit gyms. There's a lot of strength conditioning gyms.
We talked about this last time.
There is so many. I didn't even realize how many like non like branded CrossFits or strength conditioning style gyms there are. When I was up there speaking to one of the owners, like he's from a gym called Cornerstone, strength and conditioning, and like I was like, oh yeah, like so where's all the other competitors? Like literally within like a stone's throw, and he's got like 3 or 4 other gyms that kind of do similar-ish sort of things. Yeah. But I think Newcastle's very different from the sense where it's a coastal town. Like everyone in that town kind of like, not everyone, but a lot of people train. It's very fitness orientated, very fitness focused. So you don't have to. It's a little bit easier in a way to get people in the door, but also it's harder to keep them because there's so many options. There's so much going on around that area. So
that place is a powerhouse, man.
Yeah.
Like of athletic potential.
Oh. unbelievable.
I mean, they have the best weightlifting club in New South Wales.
Yeah, yeah. Troy was a CrossFit member of mine, along with his partner Katie. And then when I left Newcastle 2015, and then I can't remember the name of the guy, but Buck. He opened up. I think it's Buck.
Oh yeah, Michael Buchanan.
Buck. He opened up Newcastle Barbell Club, and Shannon Mahoney, I think his name is Shannon Mahoney. He'd already opened up Newcastle Weightlifting Club, but I don't think he ever really registered it properly. It was just a business name. I do think back to whether me and my brother should have, if we could have or should have, opened up a CrossFit gym in Newcastle, and me obviously eventually weightlifting focused stuff. But Hunter Valley's got very good. Hunter region has a very good reputation with sport. Even to be honest, out my way, Southwest Sydney, it's just getting the kids or getting the people in the door. That was the harder part, because they don't trust you, or didn't trust me anyway. There are so many young rugby players out there that have just got so much potential, and my big thing was, if I was going to coach kids, I don't want them to be, obviously they're going to be focused on their sport. They're there for the purpose of improving their sport. But my real thing was going to be there's only so many NRL players, there's only so many NBA players, there's only so many of such and such a sport. But there are these other sports, like weightlifting, wrestling. There are all these other little sports that you can take your skills and knowledge, as long as you've been developed well, and just apply it straight away to that sport and be successful, so long as you get a good sports coach in that sport. So I was fortunate with me, I've had pretty good weightlifting coaches, not from the sense where they were the best at developing my physical attributes, but they just knew the sport well enough to enable me to be successful in that sport.
It's like gymnastics and diving.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
rowing, running. Rowing and cycling.
Yeah, what's Josh's Melissa Wu? Yeah, she was a gymnast when she was younger, and then went to wrestling. Went to diving.
And probably one of our most successful
Olympians,
gold medalists. Youngest gold medalist in diving, I think. Yeah,
it's crazy. So my big thing is a lot of kids. I remember when the door kind of shut on me for rugby, and I was like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna do CrossFit. And then CrossFit opened up the door of weightlifting, and then I went through Joe Rogan and the growth of BJJ. I'm like, all right, okay, fuck, I'm gonna go do wrestling. I never even thought of wrestling as a sport before, but it's an option, and someone's got to go to the Commonwealth Games and represent Scotland, or someone's got to go to the Commonwealth Games and represent Australia in that sport. And if there's a small talent pool, then you're more likely to do it. So, the pursuit of physical excellence and just growth is something that really drives me. I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing sports in some form or fashion. I don't think I'll be competitive forever, but whilst I can be, I want to. So, and fingers crossed I can one day grow and influence kids to go, you know what, I love tennis, but my buggered this, now I'm going to go do whatever, go do another sport where it's a bit more niche, but there's also potential to grow into it.
Very cool, dude.
Well, I think that's about time.
I think so,
my wife is she's on her way.
Is she outside or?
No, she's not. She's not outside, but she's on her way.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for doing this, man.
No, I appreciate it. It's always good to come and chat to you. So
you have to come again.
I will definitely come again. We'll guarantee it.
Cool.
And perhaps, I don't know. Maybe things have changed for you in the future too, and we can discuss that a little bit too. But thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. If you want to find Scott, make sure to go to Scott __ Wilson on Instagram. Reach out to him on Facebook. He's now looking for coaching positions as well. I don't think he's really looking.
I'm not really looking. I've went to a few select gyms. Yeah. That I think that, again, I'm going to be very selective over where I coach, because I know we're going back into the podcast now. I don't want to just coach for the sake of coaching. I want to coach because the business owner has a vision of where he wants his business to go, and I want to be a facilitator to help him grow that from a technician standpoint. Yeah. So if someone has a coaching role where they're really looking for someone to come in and grow the team that they already have there and give them their experience and pass that on to their already growing staff, or they really need someone who can come in and take over the responsibility of coaching, so that frees them up to focus on the business and grow the business. That's the sort of place I'm looking for. I'm not looking just to be a coach for the sake of being a coach. And I will be taking time off to focus on my wife. In Vietnamese culture, women who give birth usually spend 30 days confined to bed, and they don't shower, and they put coals under the bed. We're not going that extreme, but we are hoping to
They put what under the bed?
They put coals.
Hot
Hot coals, yeah, to like keep the woman warm. Like, it's a big thing about like not letting the lady get cold, and
Yeah.
they'll eat a lot of warming soup. So our goal is to try and provide her with the what's the word I'm looking for? Just with the ability to recover and rest and recuperate as much as possible. So we will. I will be taking some time off once the baby comes, if I do get a job in between that time, and if I don't, well, it's good to have a little bit of a break and time to breathe and rest and relax yourself as well.
You've earned it, man.
Yeah.
Guys, you can find RAW Barbell Club at RAW. Is she here?
She's calling me.
Okay.
That's fine.
Do you want to go down?
No, I'm good.
You can find RAW Barbell Club at RAW Barbell Club on all of our social media. So that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and all the other ones. Make sure you follow us on Instagram, see what the team is up to. We're putting out hella cool content every day. And make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Click that notification bell so you can see what we're up to, see awesome episodes like this, as well as the team's weekly training vlog and a few other things that we have down the pipeline. If you really like this episode, please share it. And if you want to support the podcast, you now can. Making this podcast is so much fun, but we run on your donations. So every single person that listened donated the price of a coffee, we'd have enough money to keep this podcast going for another few months. It helps support travel, it helps support us hosting the podcast, and it also helps support us getting all these new fancy equipments.
Sweet.
Thank you everyone who's already donated. Thank you Sarah, who donated recently as well. And guys, I'll see you next time.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye.
Supersonic.